In preparing to submit a concept proposal, the first and most important thing to do is read the Request for Concept Proposal, or RFCP. What we are reviewing today is covered in greater detail in the RFCP. The areas covered are listed here and include information about the program, the solicitation timeline, how to apply, and frequently asked questions. The purpose of SCBGP is to enhance the competitiveness of California specialty crops. This means that a proposed project must pertain to issues that affect the specialty crop industry and focus on improving the competitiveness of specialty crops. For a project to be allowable under this program, the proposal must clearly demonstrate that all activities and costs benefit the specialty crop industry rather than directly benefit or provide a profit to a single organization, institution, or individual. If you are already familiar with SCBGP, here are a few of the changes to the program this year. Grant amounts were changed and are now $100,000 as the minimum amount and $500,000 the maximum amount for funds requested. Funding Area 2, Access Education and Training, a program priority was updated to encourage drought-resilient practices that include methods to reduce water use and improve water efficiency. In Funding Area 3, Climate Smart Agriculture was included to Category A. Minor changes were made to Priority 5 in Category A in the Research Funding category. Verbiage now includes conservation and agricultural sustainability. The Additional Assistance for Historically Underrepresented Organizations program, also referred to as the Additional Assistance Program, has been included again this year. And lastly, there have been some minor changes to the allowable and unallowable costs and activities table. As always, we recommend you refer to the current table as you prepare your proposal. New states are included to Travel Ban AB 1887. Outcome measurement and the associated indicators developed by USDA were recently updated in 2022. Applicants can expect new outcome language that aligns more precisely with grant program goals and new indicators, making it easier to measure a project's period of performance. So, what are specialty crops? Specialty crops are defined as fruits, including dried fruits, vegetables, and tree nuts, culinary medicinal herbs and spices, and nursery, floriculture, and horticulture crops. Funds must not benefit non-specialty crops such as dairy, livestock, and other ineligible commodities. Note that cannabis is not a specialty crop. A list of eligible and ineligible commodities can be found on the U.S. Department of Agriculture or USDA's website and is also included with the materials in the handouts tab on GoToWebinar dashboard. This list is not intended to be all-inclusive, but rather to give examples of the most common specialty crops. If there is a commodity you are questioning that is not on the eligible specialty crop list, please send us an email and we'll be happy to ask USDA for clarification. This is how funding for the program works. USDA receives funding from the Farm Bill, then approved funding goes to CDFA, and CDFA subawards funds to recipients. To provide an idea of the program's competitiveness, historically CDFA has funded approximately 23% of proposals submitted. In 2020, CDFA received approximately $23 million. Expecting roughly the same amount this year, CDFA will award grants to projects ranging from $100,000 to $500,000. And please note that CDFA reserves the right to offer an award amount less than the amount requested. In addition, the grant duration is 2 years, 6 months, beginning November 1st, 2022 and ending April 30, 2025. Note that we will cover the Additional Assistance Program later in the presentation. However, the funding and duration for projects submitted to this program are different, with awards ranging from $50,000 and $100,000 and the grant duration being 2 years that fall within the November 1st, 2022 to April 30, 2025 timeframe. Entities eligible to apply to SCBGP include nonprofit and for-profit organizations, local, state, federal, and tribal government entities, and public and private colleges and universities. Importantly, individuals may not apply. An individual is someone submitting an application on their own behalf rather than as a representative of an organization or institution. If you are an individual and you have an idea for a project, we encourage you to partner with one of these organizations. Note again that the eligibility for the Additional Assistance Program is different, and we will review the specific requirements later in this presentation. The solicitation process is a two-phase process. In phase one, applicants submit concept proposals for their projects. Proposals go through an administrative and technical review, and applicants with successful proposals are invited to participate in phase two, submission of a grant proposal. CDFA will advise all applicants whether or not they are invited to submit a grant proposal. In phase two, applicants submit a grant proposal that contains a more detailed description of their projects. For applicants invited back, the feedback from the administrative and the technical reviews will be available in FAST to assist in preparation of the grant proposal. For all other applicants, the feedback will be provided within 60 days. Proposals that are successful in phase two will be submitted to USDA for review. Once USDA announces awards, we notify both successful and unsuccessful applicants. Feedback from the review process will be provided for unsuccessful applicants, and grant agreements will be initiated for applicants that will be awarded funds. As mentioned, concept and grant proposals undergo two levels of review, the administrative review and the technical review. The administrative review is an internal review conducted by CDFA to verify proposal completeness and eligibility requirements in accordance with program guidelines. In other words, were all the questions answered? Was the correct budget template attached? Were all the costs allowable, etc.? The technical review is an external review conducted by a committee comprised of growers and representatives from the industry. Technical review committee members use their expertise to evaluate proposals based on individual merit and consider many factors, including if the proposed project is a priority for the specialty crop industry and the proposal's likelihood for success. Please note that the press release soliciting technical reviewers is currently accessible on CDFA's SCBGP website. We encourage those who are interested in participating as a technical reviewer to visit our website for more information. If you have questions about being a technical reviewer, please contact us via the grants email at grants@cdfa.ca.gov. As noted in the beginning, the timeline of the entire solicitation process can be found in the RFCP. Please note that concept proposals are due on Friday, October 8th at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, and that late submissions will not be accepted. Applicants will be notified in January whether or not they are invited to phase two and will have approximately 1 month to submit grant proposals. The Technical Review Committee has about the same amount of time to review grant proposals and submit recommendations to CDFA, which will then be presented at a public meeting in April. CDFA will submit the proposal recommendations to USDA in May and wait for USDA's final say regarding what projects receive funding. We anticipate announcing and awarding funds in the fall of 2022. SCBGP has three funding areas: market enhancement, access education and training, and research. Within each funding area, there are one or two funding categories. As part of the concept proposal, applicants must select the funding category for which their project is most appropriate. Further, each funding category contains several program priorities. Projects must address at least one of the program priorities listed under the select funding category. For example, if an applicant determines their project fits best in research category A, which is environmental stewardship, conservation, and climate-smart agriculture, They will need to also select at least one program priority within the environmental stewardship, conservation, and climate-smart agriculture funding category. The program priorities are listed on the next few slides, but most importantly, can also be found in the RFCP. In addition, as mentioned earlier, this year, CDFA will again award funds to the Additional Assistance Program, which will be discussed in more detail in just a moment. Within the Market Enhancement funding area, there is only one funding category, Category A, which is called Grown in California. Proposals submitted to this category should enhance the marketability and long-term competitiveness of specialty crops by leveraging the unique qualities of specialty crops grown in California. In other words, they should highlight the unique qualities and characteristics of specialty crops because they are grown in California. There are 7 program priorities within this funding category. This slide shows the first 3. And here are the remaining 4. Although we won't review the program priorities here, please reference the RFCP and read each one carefully to determine which program priority or priorities are appropriate for your project. The next funding area is Access, Education, and Training. This funding area has 2 funding categories. Funding Category A is called Healthy Specialty Crops for All Californians. Proposals submitted in this category should improve access to and consumption of specialty crops in underserved communities and/or improve the public's knowledge and understanding of specialty crop agriculture and its beneficial importance to the health and well-being of all Californians. There are 6 program priorities in this category. Funding Category B in the Access, Education, and Training funding area, Equity, Opportunity, and Education for All California Specialty Crop Farmers. Proposals submitted to this funding category should benefit current and future specialty crop farmers by providing education and training, including improving equity through culturally appropriate education and training for socially disadvantaged farmers in areas including business development and regulatory compliance. There are 7 program priorities in this funding category. This slide shows the first 3. And here are the last 4. Note that the last 2 priorities are the priorities mentioned that address changes due to COVID-19. The last funding area, Research, has 3 funding categories. Funding Category A is called Environmental Stewardship, Conservation, and Climate-Smart Agriculture. Proposals submitted to this category should address specialty crop agriculture's potential to mitigate and/or adapt to climate change, contribute to conservation of agricultural land and water and/or enhance soil health. This funding category has 5 program priorities. Funding Category B in the research funding area is called Plant Health and Pest Management. Proposals submitted to this funding category should address pests and disease that affect the production of California specialty crops. There are 4 program priorities in this category. The final funding category in the research funding area is Category C, Food Safety. For this funding category, CDFA partners with the Center for Produce Safety, or CPS, to utilize the technical expertise of their grant reviewers in the area of food safety. The Center for Produce Safety releases a separate solicitation, conducts a technical review, and submits recommendations to CDFA. Please visit their website for more information. In addition, CPS contact information is provided in the RFCP and at the end of this presentation for those interested in submitting a food safety proposal. The final funding area is the Additional Assistance Program. The intent of this program is to facilitate the participation of organizations that have been historically underrepresented in SCBGP. Please note that to be eligible to apply, applicants must be a nonprofit organization or a tribal government that has not previously received SCBGP funding and have knowledge, experience in either supporting socially disadvantaged and beginning farmers or providing nutrition, education, and/or access to specialty crops in underserved communities. Applicants to the Additional Assistance Program will complete the same questionnaire and attachments as all other funding areas and go through a technical review. And concept proposals selected for advancement in this program will receive assistance from CDFA in developing a full proposal for submission to USDA. In addition, this funding area includes some additional requirements. As mentioned, only nonprofit organizations and tribal governments are eligible for this program. This means that individuals, for-profit organizations, local, state, and federal government entities, and public or private colleges and universities are not eligible to apply. If you are a first-time applicant to SCBGP, it is not mandatory for you to apply to the Additional Assistance Program. However, organizations who do apply to the Additional Assistance Program cannot apply to any other funding category. And organizations can submit no more than one proposal to the Additional Assistance Program. In other words, your one application to the Additional Assistance Program can be the only application you submit to SCBGP for 2022. Proposals submitted to this program can only request funds between $50,000 and $100,000, and the maximum project duration is 2 years. The Additional Assistance Program has two funding categories. The first funding category is Category A, supporting beginning and socially disadvantaged specialty crop farmers. Proposals submitted to this funding category should benefit beginning and/or socially disadvantaged specialty crop farmers through education and training and increased socially disadvantaged farmer engagement with the agricultural industry. For this funding category, applicants may select any of the program priorities in Funding Area 2, Access, Education, and Training, Category B, which is the Equity, Opportunity, and Education for All Specialty Crop Farmers funding category, and/or one of the four program priorities specific to the Supporting Beginning and Socially Disadvantaged Specialty Crop Farmers funding category. Funding Category B is called Improving Specialty Crop Nutrition, Education, and Access for All Californians. Proposals submitted to this category should improve the public's knowledge and understanding of specialty crop agriculture and its beneficial importance to the health and well-being of all Californians, and/or improve access to and consumption of specialty crops in underserved communities. For this funding category, applicants may select any of the program priorities in Funding Area 2, Access, Education, and Training, Category A, which is the Healthy Specialty Crops for All Californians funding category, and/or one of the two program priorities specific to the Supporting Beginning and Socially Disadvantaged Specialty Crop Farmers funding category. Concept proposals for SCBGP are submitted through a web-based application provided through a partnership with the State Water Resource Control Board. As mentioned, the web-based application is called the Financial Assistance Application Submittal Tool, but it is primarily known as FAST. And all proposals must be submitted electronically using FAST. Each applicant will need to set up a user account to access FAST, and FAST will also be where feedback from the administrative and technical reviews will be made available. As indicated, a webinar that provides a live demonstration walking you through how to use the FAST system is offered as part of our webinar series. A complete concept proposal must provide information for each of the areas listed here. As mentioned before, the concept proposal questions and FAST webinar cover the elements of the concept proposal in detail. Please note that at this time, USDA has not provided CDFA or any other state Department of Agriculture with a request for application or the terms and conditions for the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. If necessary, CDFA will prepare and make available a supplement to the RFCP to advise applicants of any changes to the program upon receipt of USDA's request for applications. CDFA and all applicants will be subject to the terms and conditions of USDA's request for application and terms and conditions. Because funding for SCBGP is provided by the federal government, all organizations submitting concept proposals to SCBGP are subject to the federal cost principles. Federal cost principles are regulations based on organization type used to determine allowable costs and ensure consistent treatment of costs. Applicants are responsible for identifying the federal cost principles appropriate to their organization and ensuring consistent application of the cost principle to SCBGP grant funds. All organizations other than for-profit organizations are subject to the administrative requirement and cost principles in 2 CFR 200. For-profit organizations are subject to 48 CFR subpart 31.2. Links to these regulations have been provided in the RFCP. However, to help simplify the interpretation of these regulations, we have prepared an allowable and unallowable costs and activities table reference. The table provides overall guidance for the handling of common costs and include USDA and CDFA requirements specific to this program. A copy has been provided in the Handouts tab, and a link to the online document is provided in the RFCP. Note that proposals with unallowable costs may be subject to disqualification, so we strongly encourage you to make use of this reference. Please be aware that any of the following may also result in the disqualification of a concept proposal. Proposals from individual applicants. Incomplete proposals, including proposals with one or more unanswered questions and/or missing, blank, unreadable, corrupt, or otherwise unusable attachments. Proposals that include additional documentation of any kind to circumvent the character limitations within the FAST system. Proposals that include activities outside the grant duration. Proposals for less than the minimum award amount or more than the maximum award amount. Proposals with unallowable costs or activities necessary to complete the project objectives, which includes indirect costs that exceed the limit set forth in the RFCP. Proposals with altered, amended, or replaced outcome measures, indicators, and/or sub-indicators in the outcome measures template, and proposals submitted to the Additional Assistance Program by organizations that are ineligible to apply. We would also like to note that having an active exclusion in the Federal System for Award Management, or SAM, may also be grounds for disqualification of a proposal. To learn more about registering in SAM, or to determine your organization's current status, please visit sam.gov. Please continue to submit your questions through the Questions tab, and we will address them at the end of the presentation. In addition, we will conduct 3 rounds of questions and answers, or Q&A. Any questions that you may have after the webinar can be submitted via email to grants@cdfa.ca.gov at any time during the Q&A process. To ensure everyone has an equal opportunity to receive the same information, we do request that questions received outside of our webinars be in writing. New questions and answers will be posted each week beginning on Friday, September 24th. The final deadline to submit questions is October 4th by 8 a.m. Pacific Time. And a link to the recordings of our webinars will be posted on our website by Friday, October 6th. And here are some of the resources discussed in this presentation. A good place to start is the CDFA SCBGP website. And here again is the grant email address to submit questions. We have also provided the website and phone number for the Center for Produce Safety. Additionally, USDA Agriculture Marketing Service website contains a lot of great information about SCBGP. However, please note that you should direct all questions to CDFA, as USDA will always refer you back to us.